When I was a kid, my dad and I used to listen to NPR a lot when he was running errands and I was in the car. And I think I was a teenager maybe, but a young teenager. And we were in the car, and there was some show about this woman who'd been, you know, scammed and duped, and her husband had ruined their finances, and she was saying that she was like over $1 million in debt, and we were broke. Every time I got in the car, it was like, do you got gas money? That's how I grew up. It's like your parents, if you wanted to ride somewhere, you better have gas money. Every gallon of gas was the last gallon of gas. Every winter we had to apply for fuel assistance. Every winter we went without heat for a good portion of the winter. Every year Christmas landed, as my father said, on the wrong end of the month. So we grew up broke. But I heard this story and I immediately had so much empathy. And I said, Dad, and I was trying to be positive, which didn't work. I said, Dad, here we are feeling bad for ourselves, but this woman is so much worse off. Not only she's not flat broke, but she's $1 million in debt. And my dad chuckled, and he, naive kid, he said, she has a much better quality of life than you do. She's $1 million in debt. She has access to more capital. Trust me, kid. She lives in a nicer house and she eats better food than you do. Her standard of living is much nicer than ours. And he was right, of course. And, later as a corporate attorney, I've worked with clients who are like millions of dollars in debt. And, they eat every night. They eat every day. It's just so wild because you think about this whole SNAP discourse and about people who are irresponsible or squander money. When you get enough money, you can be beyond broke. You can be millions of dollars in debt and still have lines of credit and still have some passive income and still be able to eat well and still be spared of judgment for how you've spent your money and how you've used it. Not moral judgment, right? And even then, too, like in the court system, when really wealthy people fuck up, because I did commercial foreclosures for years, there's no talk about moral failure. And sometimes the lender even is like, look, we can't find somebody else to take over $100 million loan, so we're going to be a little more flexible with you than maybe a lender would be with a house that's, a $300,000 house, because they can find somebody who can snatch that up right away. But with a $100 million property, it's going to be hard to even find a receiver, to get a property manager to deal with the asset. So they're more likely to work with them. And I always think about that, think about that when you hear all this rhetoric about these people on SNAP and buying cupcakes for their kids. Think about it. And right now I'm thinking about it as I'm $1 million in debt, or over $1 million in debt. And I'm very concerned about my financial situation. But I have heat and I have food. For that, I'm very grateful. Be kind to others. You never know when you're going to be in their situation.